And now the Hansons and Hiatus podcast with Nate and Alexis.
Happy Friday, fuckers. It's another episode of Hansons on Hiatus, episode 46. I am your host, Nate. This is my wife, Alexis.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
And don't forget to support the podcast, buymeacoffee.com/Hansons on Hiatus. You can buy us one beer, mini beers, whatever you feel like. You know the drill.
And they're all appreciated.
Yes, very much. And then also, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all the casts.
All the things.
All the thingies at Hansons on Hiatus. So this week, I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl a little bit because we talked about it last week about the sleeping arrangements with my my fellow field team members.
Yes.
And this is, I leave on Monday. So,
it's almost here.
Yeah, a couple days. Getting excited.
He's so excited.
Yeah.
You're almost here.
And if you didn't listen last week, I had kind of a conundrum with, I had rented this Airbnb like months ago, and then a couple of my other friends from the Super Bowl last year needed a place to stay. So me and my buddy Juan were both splitting it because it's a 2-bedroom. Then these 2 girls asked to join, and don't worry, it's not like that.
You're lucky I'm me.
You are. And,
you are?
Yeah.
You are.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky the way you are.
Yes. Thank you.
And so am I guess?
Yeah.
Yes. But they asked to be able to stay as well, but they would have to be sleeping on a couch. So I felt like a little, if I was being unchivalrous or rude, I guess, because like, should I have to give up my room even though I booked it, you know?
Yeah.
I can't remember. What did you feel?
I think I said, like, let's pretend they're not girls. How would you feel about it? And I think that was your answer. Like, you found it. You secured it way in advance. This wasn't like, oh, you just got lucky and you found an Airbnb. You were on it like forever ago. So they're lucky that you have extra room. And I mean, being a girl, it would be nice to have your own room and privacy, but I wouldn't expect you to give it up. I'd be like, oh, this is his Airbnb, you know?
Yeah.
And I said, maybe I'd pay a little less if I'm stuck on the couch with someone, but if you need a place for the Super Bowl, you're shit out of luck right now.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So
take it or leave it.
So I asked the question on Spotify and got a couple of responses.
Cool.
So Jose from Georgia said, "Hell to the no." and my question obviously was, should Nate give up his room at the Super Bowl for the girls or just keep it?
Okay.
Hell to the no.
And he is, wonderful wife, daughters. He's, around women all the time. So
yeah. And then also Adam from Iowa said $250 for 2 weeks is a steal for the Super Bowl week. Totally up to them. A couch and a bargain, or if they want something nicer, then no hard feelings. And we'll see you at practice.
Yes, Adam.
Yeah, and I was kind of thinking that. I'm like, if they're not cool with it, there's plenty of other people that need spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hurting you guys. It would help you if more people are there splitting it, but you guys were just going to be you two at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Originally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I think I was just feeling like that because it's 2 girls, and you kind of feel like, at least guys are raised to, give up your seat for, women, children, elderly people, things like that, be a little kind of giving to the female species.
I think you're very sweet that you thought about it. And like I said, even if it was guys, you would still be like, oh, the arrangements, that's just the way you are, that you thought about it. Most people would just be like, cool, you get the couch.
Yeah. Well, there has been an update, and it may have solved my problem.
Oh, great.
So Juan, my buddy from last year, and he lives in California, and he's driving over,
nice.
Which is great because then we'll have a vehicle there and we don't have to rent a car. He messaged in our little WhatsApp group and said, so one of the girls is Roberta, and he said, I would like to give you my room, you and the other girl, so both of the girls can have his room, because when he was when we did the Super Bowl last year in Phoenix, he was just planning on sleeping in his car and just gonna sleep. He was like, "Hey, can I sleep in my car in your driveway?" Like asking me that, and I was like, "I don't live there. I gotta ask my buddy or whatever."
Oh my gosh!
But Roberta lives in Phoenix, and that's where the Super Bowl was last year, right?
Right.
So she let him sleep on her couch.
Oh, that's so nice.
And so he said, as appreciation or gratitude for you letting me sleep on your couch so I didn't have to sleep in my car, I'd like to give you and Angela the room so you guys can have your privacy.
That's so nice.
Yeah, and he's going to sleep on the couch.
So he looks like the good guy.
Yeah, I know. And then I was like,
no.
fuck, do I look like a dick now?
They're like,
No.
Nate wouldn't give up his room, but Juan did.
Yeah, but it works out,
Sorry.
works out better because, then they both have a room. That he's like, I just wanted to give them a little privacy. They're
Yeah.
girls. There's one bathroom, so just so they're not like getting ready like in the living room or whatever.
Yeah.
So now they'll both have a room to be in. Juan doesn't care, and I was like, "Hey, buddy," I was like, "If you need a place to snuggle up, I got a queen bed." And then he sends me this gif of two guys like rubbing noses together.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
"No,
He
Not
sounds like that type of friend
Yeah.
that would snuggle up if you offered.
Yeah, he's a little guy. I mean, it might happen at some point if I feel bad for him. Sleep on the couch. I'm like, I'll just roll over.
Come on in. That'll be great. That was really nice of him and like paying it forward. That's cool.
Yeah, totally.
He was going to sleep in his car for 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, he has like a big Suburban or whatever.
Still,
and so
geez.
he was like doing the thing kind of what I was planning on doing. I was planning on renting a minivan,
Yeah.
sleeping in that. And then I think I was just going to sign up for a gym membership and just go to LA Fitness and like take a shower and, whatever.
This is why you two are friends.
Yeah, exactly.
same mindset.
But yeah, so get ready to go to the Super Bowl. Super excited. If you haven't heard, Usher is the halftime show.
Woohoo.
So I've been listening to my Usher playlist and
Yes.
everything. But I've started to see these memes, and they come around every year about the NFL being scripted.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
I have seen them.
Like they try to
seen
put
it.
the logos next to the teams from the last few years and saying, oh, they had the same colors or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, saying, oh, this was predicted because this is this color, this is that color. And then the one for this year, I think the logo, they're trying to say it's the Ravens 49ers because I think the logo is like purple and red or something.
Oh, okay.
But
Don't you think someone would have caught on to that?
right?
By now?
Okay, so that's why I'm bringing this
a
up
mass
because
amount of people.
I enjoy a good conspiracy theory, but this is kind of ridiculous to me. And there's other things that people say why things are scripted. But one of the main points that people on the other side of this always say is nobody's team that's winning ever says it's scripted. It's always somebody that feels like their team got fucked over or this seemed set up or this or that
Sounds
or
a
whatever.
little salty.
Yeah, but yeah, for the logos, doesn't that just seem dumb? Like you're gonna go through to fake this whole thing, the playoffs and the season and everything, and all these thousands of people are in on it, and then they're like, we'll make the logo the team colors and nobody will know.
No one will recognize
yeah, we'll just do it every year, and like that just seems ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
if
think.
it was black and gold, I'm gonna be like, holy shit, the Steelers might be going to the Super Bowl because they made the logo black and gold. I
Yeah.
would notice that right away as a fan, but
yeah,
I will say, back in my younger years, I did question the NFL being scripted because to me it seemed, and I'm not the hugest sport person, talking wise, whatever. I like sports though. It seemed to me that either the team that would go to the Super Bowl or where the Super Bowl, whoever would win, seemed like the city that needed it the most.
right.
Like they're down on their luck or, New Orleans at the time. And I can't think past, but it always seemed like the city that needed the money the most or the win the most, that's who would ultimately win the Super Bowl. And also to that, it seems like maybe people think it's scripted because at the end of the season, like the playoffs, I will say it, I know the Steelers just looked like they gave up. It was like, we've come so far, but it's not going to happen this year. So they just kind of back off so they don't get injured. So to me, sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't they pushing harder, trying their hardest or this or that? Maybe they're told you're not getting to the Super Bowl this year. It's over. So just do your little thing and try and win.
Well, and I think there's something to what you're saying, but I don't feel like it is a conspiracy theory. I think it's just like how Jason always says with sports, you need a storyline with it. So whatever team it is, they're going to find that storyline.
Right.
You could put any two teams in the Super Bowl and you could find some story. Oh, this guy lived in his car for, all through college and now look at him or whatever. There's always some spin or angle that you can take on it. But one of the memes I saw, and I don't think people really did their research on it. It's a screenshot of I think it's like a news station or a weather channel or something on the TV. And it says, something about the Super Bowl February 11th, and it says the 49ers versus the Baltimore Ravens, and then it says the halftime show, or the artists that are playing below it and everything like that.
Oh,
so that's what a lot of people are like, oh, it's scripted, look, it leaked again.
Oh my gosh.
Although every year when these memes that come out that it's leaked, they always are wrong, you know, and then the people have to cover and be like, oh, well, they had to change it because it got out.
Yeah.
But
we just switched teams going to the biggest game of the year.
Yeah. But if you do your due diligence on this meme or on this screenshot, like I did, I looked up the road, and then there was something else on the screenshot. It's from Canada. It's from a Canadian news station. So
they have no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Chances are they just don't fucking know. Like they're not paying attention. And you know how I also know that is because when they listed the halftime show, they listed Reba McEntire, Usher, and then Post Malone. Oh. Which anybody in the United States knows that Usher would be listed first because he is the halftime show.
Right.
Reba and Post Malone are like the week of concerts, like pregame shows and everything. So like in Atlanta shows. when they had the Foo Fighters. Oh, when they have like big concerts in town, and then we saw Post Malone and who else was the other? Aerosmith. Yeah. So like they have these leading up to concerts and everything. Right. So anybody that knows American football or the NFL or the playoffs or the Super Bowl knows that you wouldn't put Reba McEntire before Usher and then before Post Malone if you're listing the halftime show.
I know. Some people might be different, but no.
And I'm not saying that there isn't some fuckery with certain things and stuff in the NFL maybe, but to have all these athletes that are fucking gladiators just willingly like throw the game. Like they get money off of things like catches and wins and things like that. So they're not all just going to be in on this giant secret. And if you're going to rig something, there are thousands of people watching, thousands of cameras. Trying to do that in front of all these people is like the worst idea ever. And then, like some people like, what was like the Chiefs game or something, and somebody threw an interception in a spot where there was like three guys defending this one dude, and of course it was an interception. So you would have to let each team know what the play was going to be, and then like let everybody know, like, okay, this is when we do it, guys. Okay, you ready? Everybody get places, get everyone. Ready. It's just, I mean, it's ridiculous. So like I said, there's probably shit that happens that is not on the up and up, but I don't think it's this scripted thing that everybody knows what's going to go on, and you got to have, certain players in certain places and, things like that. It just doesn't make any sense. It's always people saying these things when their team isn't winning.
We always say that too, like to believe into these big conspiracy theories that they're
like the moon landing or something.
Yeah, any of that. Nobody can keep a secret. And I know we said that on here before. There might be certain people, I know I can keep a secret, you can keep a secret, but you're not telling anybody for these big things. Like if you were part of the Super Bowl and it's rigged, you would tell one of the players would tell their wife, or their kid would overhear. There's just too much.
Or a Canadian news
involved.
station.
Yeah, like it would just be impossible to keep under wraps. Yeah. Especially, what is this? How many Super Bowls is this now? Super Bowl 48 or something like that, or I don't know. But to have that many Super Bowls and for everyone to keep their mouth shut, no way.
No, not at all.
No way.
Yeah, what Super Bowl is this?
I thought it was like 48. You should probably know.
Yeah. 57?
Oh, 57.
Yeah, 57.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was a little off.
Yeah. Only 10 years.
Yeah. I was going to say, didn't we go through the 50th? Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad.
So I also wanted to bring up, and this is more of our daily lives here in Mexico that we typically talk about. I know we all often talk about how we feel safer here than in the U.S. or it's not as bad as people portray it to be. And I'm going to talk about a couple things that have happened recently. And I've not claimed that it is safer than the U.S. We've been saying that's how we felt. We felt safer. I'm sure by numbers and stuff, there's probably, you can pull up statistics and stuff. I usually say how we felt and what we encounter and stuff. Right. And so I'm going to talk about a couple things that happened where it is not all, roses and sunshine and fairy tales and everything.
Sunshine and tequila. Margaritas.
One of the things that happened this week is one of our neighbors posted in our group chat for our building. Yep. and said, hey, keep an eye out for this woman or for this person with this shopping cart that comes around and collects cans. They broke into my car a couple of times, or got into his trunk, where I don't think they broke into it. I just think that the trunk lock wasn't working.
Yeah.
And taking stuff out. And so we see the other day, this woman coming down our street with the shopping cart, with the cans and everything. And she's right below us, and you see her, and then you take a picture and send it to the group like, hey, she's here. But the picture that was sent to us, it was the same cart, but a different guy.
It looked like a guy, and this was a lady during the day for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a very recognizable shopping cart. It's like, I haven't seen any of those here. They're like plastic yellow and green and red.
Weird.
It looks
like a supermarket sweep or something.
Yeah, it looks like one of those. And everyone around here is very like those metal kind of older buggies or shopping carts.
Yeah. So you saw her and then posted in the group, and nobody said anything for a while. And then our landlord, I guess, and then the guy's car that got broken. You're like, oh, you should have called me. He was like, oh, well, I sent you a message. And it's like, what do you want me to do? Like, it's basically a homeless woman.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, I mean, it wasn't her in the photo. It was a guy. So they either have the same cart or it's her husband that just takes the cart sometime.
Husband and wife duo. They're like, you take it at night, I'll take it during the day. But I messaged the group. I messaged him. I wasn't going to call and be like, hey, shopping cart ladies here, because we're all working during the day. But you just hear him run down the stairs and run out and like kind of chase after her afterwards. And we're like, wonder what he's going to say to her or ask her. But he didn't catch up to her, I guess.
Yeah. So we're on the lookout, I guess, for a can woman. I don't know.
I think he wants to ask her, like, hey, can I give you some money and get my stuff back?
Yeah. And this other one was a little freakier. So me and my dad were going to the beach, and you and my mom were going to meet us later after you finish some work.
Yeah.
And so we walked down the street, in the main kind of pedestrian street. We talk about Fifth Avenue. We're a couple blocks down, and we realized the street's blocked, and there's like some tape up, and there's an ambulance outside. And so we're thinking, and there's a bunch of restaurants and gift shops and trinkets and, all that stuff. Yep. So we're thinking, oh, maybe somebody had a heart attack or fell down the stairs or whatever.
Someone got hurt. It happens.
Yeah. And then I start hearing people like kind of murmuring that, like, there's a good amount of people watching, and most people don't just stand around when there's something going on. They're like, oh, whatever, just walk by.
Like, it must be.
And I hear this one guy go, pop, 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 pop. Like he was saying that to somebody else. And I was like, oh shit, this might be something juicy. Oh. So we're sitting there and waiting for the paramedics to come out of the little trinket shop.
Yeah.
And they're wheeling a stretcher out, and there's a guy laying on the stretcher, and he has like his arm up and his head back, and he's just like covered in blood.
Oh, shit.
And clearly
Clearly he fell down.
Yeah. and my dad leaves. I was like, all right, let's go, Dad. Like, we're getting out of here. And he comes to me. He's like, what do you think happened to that guy?
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he was all covered in blood. And I was like, he got shot, Dad. Like, clear. He's like, oh, really? And it's like, clearly, and I know this shop, and they are notorious for like selling drugs out of it. This was a targeted cartel thing.
Yes, for sure.
So it does happen, not often near us, but it's one of the realities of things that do happen. It's just like gangs in the U.S. Like, shit happens like that. So, I wouldn't say that I don't feel, or I feel like I was saying earlier, like I feel safer here than the U.S. I wouldn't say I know for a fact that it is. I think if you pulled the statistics, because I got in an argument with a guy online, and he was saying you're 4 times as likely to get shot in Mexico than you are in the U.S.
Oh,
which,
where'd he pull that from?
I don't know, which I guess is true, but I think I can't remember what the numbers. I think it was, he said 30,000 people are shot in Mexico each year or something. Yeah. But then I looked up the numbers. 23,500 of them are cartel or gang related or drug related shootings.
Right.
So the way I look at it is, though, even though there are maybe more shootings in Mexico than in the U.S., me personally, I feel safer here because I am not involved in those things.
Right.
In the U.S., I feel like you have maybe a better chance of something random happening to you, or like a domestic violence shooting or something like that. Yeah. And I was joking with the guy, and I was like, yeah, you might, if you're involved in drugs or, cartel activity in Mexico, it's, you have a good chance of getting shot. But in the U.S., if you go to a Cracker Barrel or you're a fourth grader, you have a good chance of getting shot.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm just saying, like,
Touché.
that's the perception that I have is like, I don't feel in danger in the U.S. at all. Whenever we go back, anywhere we go, I'm not like, oh my God, where are we or whatever. But I do feel like if I was going to be involved in a shooting, it's going to be a more random thing in the U.S. than in Mexico. Here it's very targeted. And that's why I talked to a buddy, and he was like, 2 less drug dealers on the streets.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, which is, sad to say, but I think they say that in bigger cities too in the U.S. that have a lot of gang shootings and stuff. They're just like, let them take each other out,
Any of the news we've seen here has been, like you're saying, it's targeted. It's 1 or 2 people, usually one person. Then it comes out later, like, it was gang related or cartel related, drugs, something, selling where you're not supposed to, not selling what you're supposed to, not paying the cartel tax, something like that. Where in the U.S., like you're saying, it could just be random at a concert and your life's ruined.
Yeah.
Where here, we're not involved in that. We're not out at that time. We're not doing those things.
And many of the articles that I've seen from U.S. sources about something in Mexico, and usually obviously the cartel stuff is between Mexicans.
Yeah.
But the articles I've seen is like, oh, tourist shot or 2 tourists shot.
Right.
Then they say that for the sensationalized headline, but then when you read the article, they might be a tourist, but they were still involved in the guns and the drugs and the cartel stuff as well.
Right.
Like, I can't remember when it was, a couple of years ago, there was that one at Xcaret or the hotel, and it was like 2 Canadian tourists shot. Well, it turns out the Canadian tourists were wanted by Interpol, and they were involved in like international like drug smuggling or something. So it's like it's the same thing. It's like they're not, even though they're tourists, they're still involved in that shit.
Yeah.
So I would just say to anybody thinking about coming down here, I feel completely safe. Anything that happens typically is just between rival cartels and, gang stuff. And the really bad stuff that you see is by the border, which is not anywhere near us.
Not anywhere near us. I know I always use the example. My dad would send us articles when we first moved here, like, look at this shooting, look at that shooting. And then we'd look up the area and it'd be like Tijuana. And I'm like, Tijuana's here. We're all the way over here.
Yeah.
We're like literally underneath Florida. So,
and where this happened, we were literally eating dinner across the street from where the shooting happened that night.
Yeah.
Like you, me, and my parents.
Yep,
and
everything
back to normal.
back to normal.
Because it's not, they'll put like an increased police presence around usually when something happens.
Yeah.
But it's just to make you feel better because there's no danger. There's not I don't know. I don't know if I read if they caught the gunman or not, but there's not like a gunman out there like looking to just pop off random people.
Right.
They know it was targeted, so it's safe to open everything back up because it's not a threat to anybody else, really.
And even when I went running the few mornings after, they do have a couple like of the military guys out there patrolling around, and you see that side of the street like a little bit more, but it's like it's over. They're not coming back and doing the same thing the next day or the next day or the next day.
And it was because me and my dad, when we continued on and we were going to the beach and all the little side streets, the police cars are like zipping around there looking for the perpetrator. And I was talking to somebody else and they said the gun was in the trinket shop or whatever, in the gift shop. And they said that's pretty common. They usually throw the gun at the crime scene. And in my American true crime brain, I'm like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah,
why would you do that?
All over whatever.
But the thing here is it's a easier way to get away with it because they have fingerprinting and stuff, but I don't think they have everybody in a database like we have. So if that guy was a couple blocks over and gets caught with the murder weapon, you're going to jail. So they get rid of the murder weapon at the scene of the crime. So when they get away, they're like, prove that I did it. There's no camera around, they're not going to fingerprint it. Or if they do, you might not be in the system or anything. Right. So they want to get rid of the gun at the scene, which is completely opposite of how it usually is, So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It is very interesting. Yeah.
But usually, like I said, if there may be more shootings in Mexico statistically or violence than the U.S., but it's hard to be a part of that statistic if you're not involved in that statistic, know. So just
makes us feel better.
Yeah, just look around.
Yeah.
Just watch your back.
Watch your back.
But as I was saying the last couple episodes, my parents are in town for a few months.
Yep.
So we've been hanging out with them, and it's funny to watch your parents like become adults and older adults and
Adults.
you know well
Older
you know
adults.
like when you're a little kid to whatever, like when you're a child you're like, oh, my parents know everything, they get, you know, whatever, and then when you get to be an adult you realize, oh, they're just human as well. And but it was funny when we were at the beach, we sat down, and my dad, for a while he was kind of mumbling about something, and then he put his headphones in and started listening to music, and I was like, what are you doing? You know, because you guys were coming and everything.
He's like, you don't want to talk to me?
Yeah. He's like, well, these people over here are playing music really loud, and then these other people are talking. And
how dare they?
yeah, and they were French or something. They were speaking in French. And I was like, yeah, we're at the public beach.
We're at the beach. There's people here.
And so he couldn't take that there were other people making noise around us. And I was like, that's what the beach is.
You're
you know?
used to your nice little spaced out Florida beaches where nobody wants to be around each other.
Or all-inclusive resort. Or
right. It's very quiet and pristine. In Mexico, it's like we're coming right next to you if there's a spot, and we're going to do our thing and play our music and have our family, and everybody does the same thing. And it's a little more loud and rowdy here.
Yeah. But then, so we went to the beach that day, and then the next day we drove up to Puerto Morelos to see some friends, their friends from Iowa that have a place up there.
Yeah.
Was it Casita Quinha?
Casita Quinha.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you're looking for an Airbnb, that is a great one in Puerto Morelos. But it started fucking raining the whole time, so we just ended up going to the brewery, and the brewery didn't even have power, but all the beer's pressurized, so we got that.
Everything was fine. Everything was still cold, so it was good.
Yeah.
It was a good drinking day.
Mm-hmm. But we were at brunch, and my dad leans over to me, and he goes, try to be discreet about it, but look at this guy's hair over here behind you. He's like, don't look now. Like, be cool.
Be cool.
Yeah. And he goes, he's whispering this to me. He's like, how do you think he got that done? And how do you think he takes a shower and washes it?
Oh my god!
And so I can't see this guy because he's behind me, and I'm having all these things running through my mind. Like, was this guy have some crazy like Rastafarian dreadlocks with like ribbons in it, or does he look like fucking
Seashells
Crazy Eyes from Orange Is the New Black? And so I wait a couple minutes, and I turn around, and I slowly look around on my backside. It's a dude with cornrows. Yeah. I mean, I was like,
have you? I know you're from Iowa,
but yeah, like, have you never seen cornrows?
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally named after the plant that we are famous for producing.
Yes,
cornrows.
yes. I didn't even think of that part.
Yeah.
And he's seen women. There's tons of women walking around with, you know, you get the braids done here, or you already do that kind of hairstyle, something like that. So it was really funny.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Dad, it was like Mexican Sean Paul back here, and you don't even know.
Yes. Like he's never seen that before. That's so funny.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of humorous.
He needs to watch that. Wasn't there like a Chris Rock, like there's like a documentary on different hairstyles. We need to have him watch that.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah. But it's been fun with them.
Fun.
We've done a lot of stuff. I think, I don't know what we're doing this weekend. Possibly Cozumel.
Yeah. I think what's funny with your parents too is they've been here a million times more than we have, and they, you know, they're the reason you started coming here and we started coming here, and they've been to Mexico. They know Mexico, but vacationing in Mexico and living in Mexico are very different.
Right.
Vacation, everything's handled for you, even if you're not at an all-inclusive, you know, resort or hotel. If you're at a hotel, they're cleaning for you, they're bringing you water, they're bringing you TP, all those kind of little things that you have to figure out here. So they're truly figuring out, we have to order water and lug it upstairs. We have to, you know, pay our rent and electric different. We have to, you know, take our laundry to the laundromat and try and speak in Spanish because they only speak Spanish. It's just like those little things and stresses and anxiety
that you don't think about while on vacation. Yeah,
we've already been through it, and they're looking at us like, why is this like this? And the only explanation I have is, that's Mexico.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
That's what was said to us.
It's just culturally different. That's how that, you know, it's just, even in the States, from maybe living in a small town in Iowa to living in a big city in Chicago or something, your lifestyle and how things work are going to be different.
Yeah. Why are people playing loud music and wearing jeans at the beach? It's Mexico. Yeah. Why do we have to order our water and we can't drink it from the sink? It's Mexico. It's just like, there's just different things.
And I think they are kind of going through the same thing that we went through when we first moved here, is since they don't have like a an end date, or it's not like, oh, we're coming here for a week, so we got everything planned out, what to do. They don't know how to relax.
No.
And we really struggled with that. And I think it's just that kind of U.S. American mindset of just work, go,
Yeah.
party, or do whatever. But like when you don't have anything to do or you have a weird schedule,
Yeah.
I think it, like we were getting like panic attacks, almost like anxiety attacks, because you're like, I'm supposed to be doing something. I'm supposed to be where are the TPS reports, you know?
Yes.
Like,
all the time in the U.S. You're constantly like doing something or following up with someone or going somewhere. And we do that too. I mean, it's not like I'm not talking to people and I'm not doing things, but it's a different level of like anxiety at home and stress that it's like constantly going. Here, we, like you're saying, we really had to focus on relaxing, and we're still getting there. There's still days that we're like, oh, I feel like we're supposed to do something, especially with Tiger being gone. I have way more time now than before. So they're learning, go out for a walk, go up to the pool, read a book, take your time. You can eat lunch at 10 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon. It doesn't matter. It's all based on your schedule, what you want to do. And I think that's just like nerve wracking to them. They're like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
But it's good. It's good for you. I think it's going to help them in the long run. I'm really excited to see them after these 3 months, like just their appearance and, like maybe their weight or their goals or like what they've learned and their tan and, all the things that you get like a few months in a tropical climate.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm excited to see.
My dad's walking every day
Yeah.
when I don't think he was doing that back. I mean, it's cold in Iowa right now, but like I'm really proud of him that he's, getting out of the house and doing stuff.
7,000 steps.
Yep, every day.
Getting his 7,000 steps in. And it's different, though. Instead of you might walk at home or walk on the treadmill or walk at the gym, but here we're also working to exercise or walking to exercise, and we're walking to get places. So there's even more, cardio we're doing for ourselves. So I don't know. It's funny.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. Well, we will get out of here for this week. And full disclosure, since I will be in Vegas for the next 2 weeks, doing the Super Bowl halftime show, the next 2 episodes we are recording before I leave. So they're going to be a little bit of speculation maybe about the Super Bowl because we won't technically know. We'll talk about some old stories that we didn't get to yet and everything like that. So if you'd like to see like current updates on what I'm doing at the Super Bowl, make sure to follow us at Hansons on Hiatus on Instagram, and you can watch my stories there. And then when I get back, then I'm sure I will have plenty of stories to tell on the newer episodes. Yes. So
write it all down.
Yeah, but to reaffirm, these next 2 episodes will be new. Yep. They just won't be current, up to the date stuff. It'll be kind of like rehashed things that we haven't talked about yet that we didn't get to on other episodes and stuff.
We got a lot of stories.
Yeah, we sure do. So thank you for listening. Don't forget to support the podcast. buymeacoffee.com/Hansons on Hiatus. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, iTunes, Google Podcasts, all those at Hansons on Hiatus. Hope you have a great, safe rest of your weekend. Happy Friday, fuckers.
Happy Friday, fuckies.
That's it. Thanks for listening. Goodbye for now. Bye.